All right. So when I sit down to write or when I sit down to create a piece of content, there is a battle going on inside my mind. If you can see the screen, it shows exactly what battle is going on. The battle is so fierce, the battle is so intense that at the end of it, I feel very drained. I feel very stressed out. I feel very anxious. So I'm sure if I am going through this, maybe a lot of you go through it as well. And the battle is all about whether I should optimize my content for virality or whether I should optimize my content for substance. So that is what we'll talk about today. The answer is not a simple yes or no or 1-0 or black and white. The answer is very, very nuanced. So let's explore these nuances so that you can figure out for yourself by the end of the video if you should optimize your content for virality or you should optimize your content for substance. If at all you like this video and if you're with me till the end, please like this video because the algorithm then helps me reach out to more people. All right. So now before we move ahead, we first need to define what exactly viral content is and what exactly is deep content. Right. So we are going to explore the whole spectrum of viral content versus deep content. So what is viral content? Right. Now, when I use the word viral here, of course, I don't mean it in a way that the content that has already gone viral. That's not what I mean. What I mean is content that is optimized for virality. That is viral content. I didn't want to use like a very long terminology like content that is optimized for virality. So that's why I'm using viral content. It's just a much easier thing to say. And deep content, on the other hand, is optimized for creating substance. Okay. So example like I've given here, viral content example is Instagram Reels or TikTok Reels or maybe even sometimes it's Twitter. And an in-depth or a deep content is basically an in-depth podcast or a very long blog article, or it could also be a very dense YouTube channel. Okay, so now these are the examples. But what does viral content look like? So viral content is optimized for getting attention quickly. The whole function of viral content is to grab the attention. It's to interrupt the person from his or her scrolling typically and get his attention quickly and make him click on the content, right? So now to make this happen, to make this content have these features of being a viral content, basically you can't go into the nuances because this video, for example, it's not really optimized for for viral content. There is no there is going to be a thumbnail, but it's not like a very clickbaity thumbnail. Even the headline is not very, it's not going to be like super optimized for virality. It's leaning on the side of deep content because I'm covering all the nuances. When you look at viral content, you cannot cover all the nuances. It's just a quick how-to tip, or it's a quick, 3 bullet points or a very short quote or something like that. So it's not really optimized for covering any nuances. It's simply created to get attention. It's typically a feel-good kind of a content, and it does not go deep into a topic. It just gives you a very you know, short win, so to speak. Now, this viral content is usually found on social media, but it is not just limited to social media. If you look at BuzzFeed, for example, I've just opened BuzzFeed here. If you look at all these blogs, right, all of them are optimized for virality. If you see 13 things you did during the summer vacations that will make you wish you were back in school, I challenge you to identify the Bollywood celebrity based on half of their face. Check off all the ways you have eaten the rice and we've revealed what type of friend you are. There is no substance here. This is just purely for entertainment. And as you can clearly see, this content is optimized for attention. It's optimized for getting attention. You see clickbaity headlines, you see very generic topics. And the aim of the content is to go viral. It's not to really resonate with the audience. Okay, so this content lacks substance. Viral content lacks substance, but deep content, on the other hand, has tremendous substance. It has a lot of substance. All right. Deep content is not optimized to get attention. Is not optimized to get the user's attention. Uh, let me rephrase that. Deep content is not optimized to get the user's attention quickly or to grab the user's attention quickly. It's optimized for substance, which means that when you come across a deep article or a deep podcast or a deep YouTube channel, After interacting with it, if you are the right audience, and if the creator has done a good job, by the end of it will be transformed. Something about you would have changed, and that transformation is what this deep content basically aims for. So while viral content produces a very simplistic version of the topic, 5 ways to get more traffic or 5 ways to lose weight, deep content on the other hand will go into the nitty gritties, into the nuances, and ensure that by the end of it, you will be a different person. One of the best examples of deep content is this podcast slash YouTube channel by Andrew Huberman. Okay, so uh, as you can see, these podcasts, I've listened to some of them. I like what he does. If you see his podcast, they are like 3 hours, 2 hours, 18 minutes, 3 hours, 5 minutes, 2 hours, 5 minutes, 3 hours again. Very, very long podcast episodes. But if you look at the views, it's saying 1.7 million views. It's saying 484K views, or it's saying 583K views. And also you have 3.35 million subscribers. So of course, this channel is doing well. But more than that, what I like about this channel is the fact that it is going deep into a topic. Either he goes deep into a topic by himself or he invites a guest. But this is a classic example of what a viral content, sorry, of what a deep content looks like. Now that we have touched upon the definitions, the obvious question is which one is better than the other. And unfortunately, there is no one answer, because if there was one answer, we wouldn't be having this discussion. There's obviously pros and cons for both. If you have been watching my work for a bit, you know where I am a little bit inclined, but let me try to leave my biases aside as much as I can. No promises, but to a large extent, I'll try to leave my biases aside. So which one is better? There's definitely some merit to viral content, because if you're putting in a lot of effort to create content, you obviously want people to notice it. You want people to be aware of it. You want people to click on it. But then to what extent? Because you can't really optimize it to a level that the next thing that you know is that you're dancing on Instagram so that you can get some attention, or that you are creating these fancy headlines, clickbaity headlines on TikTok or on a blog where you're desperately trying to grab attention. So yes, viral content, although it has certain merit, it can become clickbaity. It can become something that is very repulsive to the users. So then we move to deep content. So deep content, while it has substance, it definitely transforms the user. It is not optimized for attention. So it might just so happen that you are creating deep content, but no one is paying attention to it. So now how do we go through this dilemma? There is obviously pros and cons for both. So how do we go through this dilemma? And which is where this spectrum comes into the picture. Where on the spectrum of viral content to deep content does your content lie? Or where should it lie is a question. Like I said, this is a nuanced question. It's not a simple black and white answer. And so let's look at a few nuances. Let's look at 3 or 4 nuances which will help you to figure out where you want to be on the spectrum. The first question is, what is your relationship with time? If you expect your content to make hundreds and thousands of traffic on the second day, or if you want your LinkedIn post to have like 8,000 likes on day 3, then obviously you are trying to win in the short run, which is fair. Maybe that's what your business wants you to do. But if you want to, if time is short, if you want to get attention quickly, if you don't want to play the long game, if you want to be in the business for, let's say, only 2 years and not 20 years, then obviously you need to optimize it for viral content, because you want to have attention as quickly as possible. As you can see here, the impact of viral content goes down with time. Okay, because the moment it's published, it's there. Think of an Instagram reel, it's there. But with time, that it dies down. But deep content, on the other hand, this YouTube channel, on the other hand, this well thought out blog that you must have seen, they're almost timeless. People may discover it on day 53, on day 253, or on day 557, and maybe even after 5 years, still that content will be relevant to you. So you have to make a call here. You have to make a choice. If I want quick results, I definitely want to go with viral content. If I want to play some sort of a long game, I'm going to go with with a deep content. The second question to ask really is how many people you want to influence with your content. Because there are a few business models, BuzzFeed being a classic example, there are a few business models where it's important to have numbers. So with BuzzFeed, they make most of the money through ads. And so the higher the traffic, the better their business is going to be. They don't really care about earning trust as much. They don't really care about creating deep relationships with the audience. What they care about is that, okay, they can go and tell the advertiser that, okay, hey, we get 100,000 visitors on our blog every day. If you advertise with us, we will show your ad to these many people. And that's a good enough pitch for them. However, on the other hand, if you're creating a business where you are maybe selling a decently priced product to a smaller audience, maybe if having 500 good relationships or maybe 1,000 good relationships is good for you or is going to make your business work. And there are examples of that. There is Kevin Kelly's 1,000 True Fans article, and then there is Seth Godin's smallest viable audience. So obviously there are businesses which want to create more products for the same audience as opposed to going wide and wide. Then definitely you should consider investing in deep content, because that is where you get to build relationships with these people, right? And the third point, which comes close to the second point, is the depth to which you want to influence these guys. Because when I again go back to BuzzFeed, and I'm not picking on BuzzFeed here, but just this is a very good example. BuzzFeed doesn't really want to influence me in any way, doesn't want to build relationships with me in any way, because I'm not going to pay BuzzFeed $100 or $200 or $500, or no one is going to pay BuzzFeed that kind of money. That's how their business model works. But if you are going to be someone who, let's say, sells a product or a service for $100, $200, $500, $1,000, then obviously you need to build a lot of trust with those people. So if you are in that kind of a business which is driven by high trust, then you are going to have to depend on deep content. Remember, if I'm thirsty and if you're selling me a water bottle, you don't need to convince me. I'm convinced. You don't need to influence me. You don't need to earn my trust. I just grab the water bottle from your hand, pay you $50, and I'm off, because that's the game that you are in. But most of us are not playing that game. We are not selling water bottles. We are selling a course, or we are selling a service, or we are selling a product. And that's why building relationships becomes that much important, right? You might look at Andrew Huberman's podcast and you might wonder, but Pranav, this podcast, you just said that this YouTube channel, this podcast is optimized for depth. This is deep content. So why is it acting like viral content? There are clearly a lot of views and a lot of comments and a lot of subscribers. Well, the key answer here is time. This guy has tremendous credibility, has been doing this for quite a while now, because of which his he has passed the curve where there were only a few listeners. Now the word has spread, and his podcast has become so popular that people keep coming back to watch it. So chances are that if you and I, we keep on building deep content assets, and if we do our job well, then people will start noticing it. Another classic example of deep content is Everyone Hates Marketers. I mean, I've seen the journey of Louis Grenier, the host of this podcast, very, very closely. If you look at most of the marketing podcasts, they're very generic, because you invite a guest, you ask random questions to the guest. There is no theme to the podcast. You spend 20 minutes introducing the guest, and then you ask one question about topic A, and then you move on to topic B, and then you move on to topic C. And then you have like these multiple topics combined, which doesn't really allow the listener to go deep into one topic. Louis didn't want to follow this template. So what he launched a podcast where he stopped introducing his guests, or a very brief introduction, and he immediately jumped into a topic and he challenged those guests. It wasn't a podcast where he made his guests look good. It was more about really challenging them. And he challenged them and he challenged them. And the idea was to go deep into one topic and not create these, multiple threads. Because of which, obviously, the podcast has become a hit. There are hundreds and thousands of downloads to this podcast. It's one of the best, or if it's my favorite podcast on marketing. And Louis is now running a very, very successful business. All right. Now, I've spoken about three things, just to recap them. I've spoken about time. I've spoken about, I mean, if you have, if you are short on time, please go with viral content. If you want to play the long game, please create deep content. I talked about the number of people. If you want to influence more people, go with viral content. If you want to influence masses, go with viral content. If you want to influence few people and if you want to build the trust, you go with deep content. And third, I said the extent to which you want to build trust. If you want to sell me something worth $2, less trust. If you want to sell me something which is higher, you need more trust, and that's where deep content really works. But there is a missing element here. Okay, there is a missing element here, and I don't want to touch upon it. And that missing element is you. That missing element is me. What do I mean by that? Well, when we're trying to build a brand, there are different levers that we are pulling, right? You might be doing four things, but one out of those four things might be giving you 80% or 90% of the result, which means that I might be doing LinkedIn, I might be doing workshops, online workshops, I might be doing offline workshops, I might be doing email marketing, I might be doing YouTube. And it may so happen that I actually get more business from my YouTube. Quite possible, right? Or I get more business from my uh, from my workshops. Why does that happen? If you also look at me, if you follow the same template, it may differ for you. Maybe you're a better speaker than me, and your YouTube channel the performs better than mine. Or maybe you're a terrible speaker, and your strength is really writing, and so you can't really do workshops, but you can write amazing blogs, much better blogs than me. So that becomes your lever that you should go for. In a nutshell, what I'm trying to say is that go for something which is working, double down on that, and make that the central thing which goes viral. So in Andrew Huberman's case, he created this podcast slash YouTube channel, which became a big thing. He's not building his. I'm not even sure if he's on LinkedIn, but LinkedIn is not the reason for his success. Is Louis Griner on LinkedIn? Yes, Louis Griner is on LinkedIn, but that's not what made him successful. His podcast made him successful, and that was his strength. And then people followed him onto LinkedIn, right? So my point being that you figure out where you're really good at, what you're comfortable with, and use that as the main lever, because you cannot really copy paste other person's template here. If you look at me, for example, I am not someone who is comfortable with competing. If you was terrible at sports, if you ask me to play chess with you, I'll probably hesitate a little bit because I don't really like competing as much. And unfortunately, the whole game of content, especially on social media, when you optimize for virality, it's a game where everyone is trying to, it's a zero sum game, which means that you're trying to compete with other players. You're trying to push their content down and push your content up. And I'm not really comfortable with that. So it doesn't really sit well with me. Additionally, I'm not really comfortable with aggressive hooks. If someone says 99% businesses fail because of this one reason, I don't want to use those kind of hooks in my content. And so I would rather build my audience somewhere else. Currently, I'm banking on YouTube. Currently, I'm banking on LinkedIn. Even my LinkedIn posts are not really optimized for virality, right? So my conclusion or the takeaway is figure out what you are good at, create something of substance, which should ideally be a podcast, a YouTube channel, or a blog, and then take your audience to social media where even your content that is somewhat optimized for virality can get attention. But if you try to optimize for virality on social media, and if you're like me, it may not just work for you. I hope this helps. As a template, as a last tactic, I would like to share is do focus on creating something deep and pick one social media platform to promote it. And there you can afford to be a little on the viral side, but not without creating one deep asset, which is either a blog or a podcast or a YouTube channel, and then pick one platform, either Instagram or LinkedIn. My preference is LinkedIn, and maybe you can be a little away from substance and towards virality on LinkedIn, and maybe on the podcast or the blog or on YouTube, you can be more optimized for substance. That's it. If you like this, please send me an email. I'd love to talk to you. And like I said, please like this video if you're still with me. Thank you.